Hey everybody, it's Matt and Gloria with Marathon Marriage. And, we mentioned to you guys that we were going to give you guys a little bit of the good, the bad, and the ugly. And we wanted to share with you guys because we believe in sharing everything about our story, because through everything, through the good, the bad, the heartache, and then also the triumphs in life, we can all learn so much together because we're not doing life alone. But we learned earlier this month that we were expecting, and we were really excited about it. And I say were because we went to our first appointment last Thursday and found out that we had a miscarriage. So
it was pretty intense. It was really pretty intense. The whole situation.
It was one of the absolute worst things that as a mother, you could go through, is losing a baby. And, it was something that we figured out, and me specifically, it was something that, I had known women who had been through this, and it was such a big loss for them. And for me, I just always thought, maybe that's not going to be something that I'm going to have to go through in life. And, going to the appointment, and really feeling like it was an out-of-body experience of realizing that we had lost the baby was really terrifying. It was like my whole world, all I wanted was just to get out of the room. I just didn't want to have to be there anymore. I wanted to just be gone and be strong, but be gone. And, my doctor, gave me a hug, and I lost it. But through all of this, we... it's the hardest thing to explain, but as a Christian, I had joy, I had peace. I knew that this was something that I was going to take, and I wasn't going to let myself become bitter. That I was now at a place where I could identify with so many women who have had a loss. And for me, my body still thought it was pregnant. I was still feeling like, I had the morning sickness. I had all these things. So my body thought that it was still pregnant. And it hadn't released the anything yet. And so today, this morning, we had what's called a D&C, a dilation and curettage. And that just basically means that they have to go in and clean out the uterus because the body hasn't begun to release the pregnancy yet. So it was a really final thing that really was kind of an emotional roller coaster. But for me, what I want to do, and what we want to do as a couple, is to encourage you even through our heartbreak. Because there are women watching this who are possibly going through a miscarriage right now, or who have in the past. And your grief is so profound, and no one can take that away from you, because that's the grief that we are feeling, that we have been feeling. The sleepless nights, the tears that feel like they're never going to end, the feeling of, gosh, we had already been planning and we wanted this so badly, because we had been trying for a while, and then actually had stopped trying and got pregnant. It was amazing that, God pulled through that way, of course, as he does. But for us, even though this is such a profound loss, it is something that we want to encourage others with, and continue to encourage people through our heartbreak. And for us, we also know that our joy is not found in what happens to us, but what happens through us, and how the Lord is using us. And that, you've already heard some, but you'll continue to hear more about how the Lord has really worked through our marriage. And this is one way that he's doing that. And ladies, let me tell you right now that God loves you. And if you don't know God, if you don't know Jesus, I encourage you to find some time. If you don't have a Bible, find a Bible. Find out what it is that he did for you, what he has, the peace that I can have even through a profound loss like this.
For sure.
It's absolutely indescribable.
Yeah, it is. And I remember that moment when we're in the doctor's office, and they were doing the sonogram, and that process was happening, and we've been through a few because we have 2 kids, and so I remember that process pretty well. And it just, the doctor's face just looked different before she really told us anything, and I just knew even the screen just didn't look like it should. And then she kind of said, "Well, guys, I think I have some news," and just the way and she said it, I knew something. The news that we were wanting to hear wasn't going to happen. And in that moment, the first thing that I thought was, how can I be here to support my wife? And it wasn't that there was the better thought or the right thought or the wrong thought. I'm just telling you honestly, that was the first thought I had. And it wasn't, what about the kid? What about the child? It was really, how's my wife feeling? What do I need to do to for my wife to support her, encourage her emotionally, physically? How can I be here for her? Because women experience it in a totally different way than me, her husband, or Gloria experiences it in a totally different way than I can. And she's connected to it literally physically and emotionally in a ways that I can't understand. And I do see it, and I see the changes, and I am connected to it, and I'm in it 100%, guys. Don't get me wrong. But that was just the first thought, and being there. And it wasn't until I had time to get away when we got home, and kind of decompress and just doing, odd ends around the house, that it really started to register. And then I started just getting emotional at just about the thought of not really having what we've been praying for, what we've been preparing for. And that was really tough.
Yeah.
And I think my first prayers were, Lord, help me understand this. And that's really it. That's all I could really ask him. Lord, help me understand what this means. Why this? What does this mean? How am I supposed to be a man in this marriage? How am I just supposed to be a man in this moment? And how am I supposed to be here to encourage my own kids and my wife? And that's, I mean, in a nutshell, that's really my experiences in this moment as we're still experiencing. I mean, this is still fresh. I mean, this just happened, like I said, today, which are now the moving on stages of this moment.
Right. And we realize that, you are probably watching this delayed because today's April 5th. And even though today's April 5th, we're just making this video now because this is such a real, raw moment and we don't want to lose it. You're likely watching this at a later date because why? We're still going through a grieving process that we need to go through. And so right now, I'm trying to be strong because I realize that there are likely thousands of people watching, and there's something a little bit that happens when you're in front of a camera, that for me anyway, I get a little bit like, I try to like put on my game face, and it's not always that easy. It's a profound loss, and we need our time to grieve. So you're likely going to be seeing this at a later time, but we know now.
Yeah.
A lot more than we did previously. And empathy means a completely different word for me as it relates to women that have had a miscarriage. And so we want to, again, encourage you that even through this, you can be stronger.
Yes.
You now have something that no one can take away from you, and that is a story. A story that you should not keep to yourself, but to share it. To say, you know what, I understand, I know what you're going through, and truly mean it because you've gone through it if you have gone through miscarriage. Yeah. And as a couple, we've gone through it. We can make it. And, we're going to be strong together.
And endure together. Because, like we've said before, I mean, this is a moment where we're actually living out miles of love to live. I mean, we're not gone yet, and our girls still need a lot of love poured into them. And so those are the miles of love that we're living out every day. And just be encouraged. Again, we're sharing this because we know people out there might be going through this. There may be guys wondering, how in the heck am I supposed to be here for my wife? She's so emotional and I'm not. Guys, sometimes just be there, put your arm around her, be authentic, and ask her and share with her the feelings that you have. And really, I think once you start sharing with her your heart and what you're thinking and why you're so confused and why you can't be like that, just sharing that with your spouse in that moment of just rawness, and that is really, I think, what she's wanting, is just to know that you are present emotionally and physically, even though you may not express it. Do the best you can. That's what I encourage you to do, fellas.
And women, be patient with your husbands, because if they're not showing emotion the way that you feel the emotion, be patient with them, because they are feeling something, but it's very hard for them to put themselves in your place because you had the pregnancy, you were going through the emotions, you were going through the hormonal changes, and it's an extremely challenging time for you, but know that it is also for them, because they may not know exactly how to relate to you in this instance. And for me, that was a really hard thing, because it's like I went through wanting him to be there and not wanting him, because he didn't truly understand. He wasn't feeling the same emotion. And I just wanted to cry. I wanted to go into a ball and feel like, why is this happening? And then finally getting out of that and trying to have a better viewpoint of it, a better perspective, and saying, no, this is happening. And then how can I live in this moment? Because I can't stop it from happening. I choose to have a better attitude about it. And so that's ultimately where I am now. But it's a loss. So it's like any loss. The loss is profound. So ladies, I would encourage you that no matter where it is, wherever you're at, if you had a miscarriage, if it was early on, within the first, few days of finding out that you were pregnant, for me, I would be over 10 weeks pregnant right now. And that's why we had to, have the D&C, because my body still thought it was pregnant. It wasn't releasing it. I probably lost the baby a few weeks ago. And so, it's profound, 10 weeks. And you would think, well, at 10 weeks, the baby would just be so little, but that's a baby. That's a baby. Yeah. And for me, it's just hard for me to fathom it. But in the end, I'm just feeling like, wow, okay, I don't understand it. This is the peace that God says that he gives. It goes beyond understanding, and we have it. We have that.
Yeah.
And I just thank God for that. It's amazing. So guys, we continue to encourage you. There are miles of love to live, and we know this is much longer than we usually, but it's because we're at a loss for words for a lot of things, and we're so thankful that you stuck with us in this, and we hope that you will continue to be here as we share together and enjoy miles of love to live.
Yeah. All right. Well, guys, stay blessed, and we'll see y'all soon.
Bye.